All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Alex Rassi, and I'm the GTM strategist and growth leader at Keysight Technologies, who recently sponsored the EMA research report entitled Network Visibility Architecture for the Hybrid Multi-Cloud Enterprise. And so today, I'll be speaking with Seamus McGillicuddy, who's the VP of Research at EMA. And he was the lead analyst on this report. And we also have a guest speaker, Keith Bromley, who's Senior Manager of Solutions and Product Marketing at Keysight Technologies, as they discuss the key findings. So tell you what, to begin with, for our audience, Keith, can you provide a quick overview of Keysight?
Yeah, sure. We offer solutions for both network security and network visibility. For anyone who isn't familiar with Keysight Technologies, Keysight has its roots in testing, network security, and network visibility. Part of Keysight comes from the original Hewlett-Packard Labs. That's the lab that built oscilloscopes and spectrum analyzers. Another part comes from Breaking Point, the security tool testing solution. And the final part comes from Ixia that had both network testing and network visibility solutions, like taps, external bypass switches, and brokers.
That sounds good, because as we're here today to discuss network security and visibility, Seamus, what was the origins of this report?
Well, Alex, as you know, at Enterprise Management Associates, you mentioned I'm the Vice President of Research. I am an industry analyst. I focus on network infrastructure and operations, and to some extent security as well, where they overlap with network operations. And EMA has been conducting research on network visibility, architecture, network packet brokers, taps, and things like that. You mentioned from the Ixia business unit of Keysight. For about 10 years, I've been refreshing research in this area every 2 years, surveying enterprise decision makers on what their priorities are with this technology for gaining visibility into solutions, into networks, and providing network data to network performance management and security analysis tools. In recent years, we've been especially interested in understanding how cloud adoption has impacted the visibility industry. Some conventional thinking might have predicted that this leads to irrelevance of network visibility solutions, but the opposite is actually happening, and that's what we're seeing in this research.
Well, that sounds not just interesting, but perfect for a solid foundation for today's discussion. Keith, can you comment on Keysight's interest in sponsoring this research?
Yeah, so at Keysight, we're really interested in this report because it provides valuable information and insight around network visibility, both for on-premise and virtualized solutions. This is especially important right now as there are lots of networks out there that are a combination of both types of configurations.
Well, indeed, premise and cloud sounds like a visibility challenge. Seamus, let's start with you. What are the top takeaways in this report?
Well, as it relates to the cloud and on-prem, we found that 79% of the enterprises represented in this research believe that it was at least somewhat important to establish an end-to-end visibility architecture that spans their physical on-premises networks, whatever virtual network infrastructure they might have on-prem, and their cloud. So they want a hybrid multi-cloud visibility architecture across their entire digital footprint. We also found that investments in network visibility solutions lead directly to a lot of benefits that can lead to ROI. For instance, improved staff productivity was the biggest payoff of using these technologies, both the enhanced productivity of network infrastructure and operations teams, but also cybersecurity, digital security, information security teams as well. We also saw reports that indications that enterprises were seeing a direct reduction in security risk as a result of their use of visibility solutions, and improvements in how they manage network capacity overall and optimization of a cloud migration. 46%, speaking of cloud migrations, 46% of the people we surveyed told us that the cloud had created blind spots in their network. The introduction of cloud infrastructure into their overall architecture had led to these parts of their network where they just can't see what's happening, they can't get access to the data they need. And most commonly, they told us that these blind spots led to violations of security and compliance policies, extended performance degradation or instances of downtime, also overruns in cloud costs where they're just spending more than they need to because they don't have good visibility into what they're using in the cloud, and security breaches. A good number of them reported experiencing security breaches because of this lost visibility. And finally, 27% of all detected malicious activity on networks was hidden inside of encrypted packets, encrypted traffic. So malicious actors that are attacking networks or probing networks are encrypting their activity, protecting their malicious code or what have you inside of encrypted traffic. And that's where network visibility becomes really important, because that can help you with decryption in a more manageable and efficient way. And in fact, among enterprises that told us that they are the most successful with their use of network visibility solutions like packet brokers and taps, they reported a higher rate of detection of malicious activity hidden in encryption, which tells you that when you're doing a better job with a network visibility architecture, you're going to catch more of that traffic that's hiding attacks and exfiltration and things like that inside of encryption. So that was an important finding, that successful use of this technology is going to help you detect hidden attacks.
Well, it sounds like visibility is more important than ever. Certainly, the nefarious actors are not going to slow down. In fact, as you mentioned, with encryption, they're getting even worse. And granted, there was quite a movement to the cloud because of COVID. It's already a movement, but that certainly sped things up. But that also, to your point, and to the point of the report, that exposed yet another visibility challenge, just not one that we're used to hearing about, but nonetheless very, very real, and one that's going to continue with. Keith, what's your view of the report here on takeaways?
Yeah, for me, the report drove home the fact that organizations absolutely need a visibility architecture. And unfortunately, 66% were unsuccessful in the activity. The lack of success was contributing to security breaches and performance problems for them. And moving to the cloud isn't the answer. It's actually going to make things worse for enterprise and government agencies. The answer is to plan network visibility into whatever architecture is deployed, whether it's on-premise, cloud, or a hybrid of both. But you need to plan it out. That's the secret sauce.
Well, it sounds like good advice. Gentlemen, beyond takeaways, Seamus, we'll start with you. Any surprise findings?
Well, referring to what Keith just said, I was surprised that only 34% of the enterprises in the survey felt that they were completely successful with their use of network visibility architecture. And part of that was tied to some of the challenges they are encountering. And I can list off a few that people should keep in mind when they're thinking about network visibility investments. Well, the first one was scalability. They're struggling to scale out their network visibility architecture. And I think that's related to the fact that a lot of people are seeing traffic growth. Traffic growth is actually a driver of investment, but it also is a challenge to keep up with. And so they need to scale out their solutions to make sure that they're able to provide data to their analysis tools efficiently and effectively. They're also dealing with complexity. There's architectural complexity that is starting to make it hard for them to figure out exactly what they need to instrument where, like what parts of the network need to have to be mirrored, and that I think relates to the fact that there's just a lot of cloud migration happening, a lot of multi-cloud enterprises now, like north of 80% are multi-cloud at this point. People are moving towards 3 and either even 4 or more providers, and that just adds a lot of complexity, and also just a lot of complexity at the edge, like with things like IoT, edge computing, working from home, and then the third biggest challenge that they're dealing with is data quality. And I think that's tied to the fact that in this research, we found that people were tending to move towards relying more on span ports for mirroring traffic than taps. Now, taps is a best practice approach. Those devices are dedicated resources for mirroring traffic off of your network. If you're using span ports, that means you're using best effort features in your switches. It's a feature that is native to most switches at this point, mature feature, but when switches are dealing with high utilization, they're going to prioritize their resources towards their central function, which is forwarding traffic. And that means that span ports will drop packets that they're meant to be mirroring to your visibility architecture. And I think that's one of the issues we're seeing with data quality. Another data quality issue potentially, and something else that I found surprising was, we asked them, where do you decrypt traffic? Are you decrypting it on your packet broker? Are you decrypting it on a packet capture appliance? More than 40% of them said they're decrypting traffic on individual analysis tools, which is the most inefficient way to do things. It's very decentralized, creates data silos. It's harder to manage certificates. It becomes a potential compliance and security issue. And it really takes away resources from the tool's primary function, which is analyzing traffic data. You really should be centralizing that decryption somewhere, and an ideal place to do it is on a packet broker or a dedicated decryption appliance that's attached to the packet broker. You really shouldn't be doing it on those individual security and performance analysis tools. So that was a big surprise for me, and that's going to affect data quality.
Yeah, I mean, we've been looking at a lot of reports that just support yours as well. There are organizations that still rely on span ports, and as you mentioned, it's not a best practice. Keith, what's your opinion? Why is network packet brokers still considered the gold standard?
Yeah, so packet brokers are a key component of any visibility solution. It's one thing to gather data, but it's something completely else to make that data relevant and actionable. So packet brokers contribute by making your data relevant. Unnecessary and irrelevant data is eliminated by the packet broker so that security and monitoring tools get exactly the data they need at the right time. So this speeds up analysis time to eliminate security threats faster. It also reduces troubleshooting time and equipment costs while optimizing both network and application performance. If you're not familiar with the packet broker, it accomplishes the task by filtering out unnecessary packet data, removing duplicate packets, aggregating data from multiple sources, removing unnecessary header or payload information, and then distributing the relevant data to your security and monitoring tools that need that data.
Excellent. Yeah, I think it will remain the gold standard. I guess the question in people's minds would be, well, what about cloud? With COVID moving a lot of enterprises to leverage hybrid, it's all over the report. As Seamus mentioned, some are moving into 3 or 4 different providers. Having visibility into the cloud, it must be really important now. Seamus, how do you get that? What's your view of cloud and visibility as a topic?
Yeah, as you just reiterated, yeah, so many companies are multi-cloud today that but also hybrid. The networks span on-prem and at least 2 cloud providers. I've talked to many companies that are building out hybrid infrastructure. They're also moving some resources into co-location facilities where they also need visibility. But when you have these hybrid multi-cloud networks, they need to manage performance, security, costs, capacity. across that complex environment. Traffic data is critical to all of that. Our research found that the majority of enterprises believe that traffic data is important to cloud security analysis and monitoring, performance management in the cloud, and also cloud capacity management. So you need a visibility solution that spans the cloud and on-prem. Now, a lot of cloud providers have started offering traffic mirroring services that people might be tempted to rely on as their frontline approach to cloud visibility. But those solutions, as with any network solution that comes out of a cloud provider, is immature. It's proprietary, meaning you're not going to be able to get end-to-end visibility across multiple clouds. And we believe that an enterprise that's serious about hybrid multi-cloud architecture and hybrid multi-cloud operations and security, they need a unified approach to visibility across all their environments, something that can centralize management, policy, data management. And that means working with a trusted third-party visibility vendor that can offer solutions in multiple cloud providers and as well provide on-prem solutions. This will involve, deploying virtual packet brokers and virtual taps in the cloud that can be managed with the same tools and managed by the same people with the same skill sets that are managing on-prem visibility. So if you're a Keysight customer and you've been using packet brokers in your data centers for years, you're really going to want to be able to extend that expertise and that management discipline and approach to traffic data into the cloud to make sure that you have a uniformity in that and end-to-end visibility.
I mean, indeed, we've been seeing quite a pickup in our Cloud Lens offering, which is designated, targeted right to that space. Good points, excellent points. I think that's going to conclude kind of the main discussion. To wrap up, Seamus, people always want to know what's on the horizon, what's coming down the pike, what should they be looking for?
Sure. I mean, I expect to see deeper partnerships between visibility vendors like Keysight and the various cloud providers, and also an expansion of the number of cloud providers that companies like yours partner with as your customers start to expand the number of providers they're working with. They're going to need visibility everywhere, and it takes time to just work well with all of those providers. It's hard, and some of them are not prepared to help you get that data, that traffic data. It's very, it's just very abstracted from the operations team that might be wanting that visibility. I also expect to see more value-added features delivered on top of visibility solutions. For instance, interest in consuming threat intelligence feeds from a vendor like a packet broker vendor, a visibility vendor, is very high. It's one of the most valued features from visibility vendors today, which a lot of visibility vendors didn't even offer that a few years ago. But you see security teams welcome threat intelligence feeds from any vendor because in practice they see very little overlap between them. It's very easy to make 2 + 2 = 4 in threat intelligence feeds rather than 2 + 2 = 3. So vendors are taking advantage of their deep network traffic knowledge to deliver more security and network intelligence on top of their core ability to provide traffic data to you. Can add a lot of value, and I think that's something that will continue to the extent that you might even start overlapping with some of the third-party tool vendors that you currently partner with, but we won't get into that. And then finally, visibility to facilitate collaboration. This research that we've been discussing today found that a solution, a visibility architecture from a vendor like Keysight can really help facilitate better collaboration between network operations and security operations teams. Now that's great, and we've been seeing increased desire to improve collaboration between those two silos in recent years. But I think it can extend to other groups as well. Like I do expect to see, with Visibility Fabrics offering value in the cloud, better collaboration facilitated between NetOps and DevOps or site reliability engineering teams, as DevOps teams start to see the value of DevOps of network data, traffic data, being combined with the observability data that they usually rely on as they're instrumenting the applications. I think that will increase success in the cloud as those groups come together on platforms like yours.
Wow. So it sounds like moving forward, you need to establish a great visibility fabric, or at least a visibility plane that you can, know what's going on with your tools. But you can't stop there. You need to start being proactive and finding out the threats before they happen to you. Good theme there. And then I like where you ended up with NetOps, DevOps, and maybe SecOps saying, hey, look, we're all one team. Let's work together, because this is not something you can do in a silo very effectively.
Yeah.
Thank you both, gentlemen, for such an insightful discussion. I know I really enjoyed it, and I hope we can do this again. So thank you.
Sounds good.
Yeah, great.